Mr. Brock, you have the floor for 5 minutes, please.
Thank you, Chair. Listening to your evidence with some respect, I don't believe you truly recognize how damning your evidence has been to the Justin Trudeau government. You talk about Mr. Nijjar exercising due diligence and researching GC strategies, but GC strategies, according to the Auditor General, receive upwards to $20 million for doing nothing other than connecting government officials with companies such as yourself. $20 million. They're a pariah. GC Strategies is persona non grata. They've lost all their contracts with the government. They've lost their security clearance. And you aligned yourself with GC Strategies, which brings into question the RCMP may be knocking on your door. So if you haven't lawyered up, you probably should be considering doing that. GC Strategies testified, not under oath, but there is a presumption of telling the truth at committee, to committing criminal acts of fraud and forgery. And this is the company you aligned yourself with to the tune of almost $400,000. Is that correct? Mr. Nijjar?
Thank you for your question. KPMG is not aware of anything related to GC Strategies outside of the work that we performed.
The amount of the contract, was it $400,000?
The amount that we charged GC Strategies for the cyber work was $400,000.
They receive 15 to 30% for doing nothing.
Point of order.
The government could have contacted you
Just 1
directly.
second. Mr. Brock, I've stopped the clock. I have a point of order. I didn't recognize the name, so if you could just identify yourself again. Is it Mr. Biddle?
Hi, my name's Chris Biddle.
Hi.
We've been colleagues for
Hi,
9
Mr. Biddle.
years.
I thought it was you. I wasn't 100% sure, so I heard you in the earpiece, but yes, you have a point of order.
I didn't raise the point of order when Mr. Brock spoke the first time. He's cutting off, as the witnesses are answering his direct questions. I know it's an issue of intense interest for all of us, but he's cutting off the witness at all of their answers, even as they're answering the question. It's not that they're being evasive, and I'm having a hard time hearing it, and I imagine the translators will be experiencing the same thing as well.
All right.
You just let them answer.
Thank you for raising that. Mr. Brock, if you just kind of keep that in mind for I'm finding the answers, I'm hearing them loud and clear, but I'm in the room. So Mr. Brock, if you can just kind of just be aware of that for people that are not in the room, which of course is their right as members to Zoom in virtually. So
Mr. Nijjar, you indicated you didn't know about the unusual, if not illegal, practices by GC Strategies, which you probably don't even know this. Actually, your evidence today gives credence to what GC really stands for, Government of Canada, because it's the Government of Canada that's asking you to work with GC Strategies. Now, moving on. The Procurement Ombudsman is now investigating a concept known as bait and switch, promising resources to drive up the cost of a contract and delivering less. Are you familiar with that concept?
Thank you for the member's question. Yes, we are.
The Ombudsman has discussed at committee before and is now launching an investigation into this fraud. Is this a practice ever used by KPMG?
Thank you for the member's question, and the answer is absolutely not.
Did this ever apply to the nearly $250 million in government contracts since Justin Trudeau formed government?
Thank you for the member's question. To our knowledge, all of the work that KPMG has done has been under the specific procurement processes set out by the government, and we are extremely proud of the quality of the work that we've done.
The answer is no. Has the KPMG been contacted by the Ombudsman on this matter?
Thank you very much for the member's question. To our knowledge, we have not been contacted by the Ombudsman's office.
Will you work cooperatively with the Ombudsman as he investigates bait and switch? Clearly, you're going to be involved in this given the amount of the monies that you've received in government contracts. Will you cooperate?
Thank you very much for the member's question. And as I said, we, of course, would cooperate with any governmental bodies that would contact KPMG. We have not been contacted by the Ombudsman directly. And, of course, we would come.
Now, Justin Trudeau has, during the last 8.5, almost 9 years, increased the size of the federal professional public service by over 40%. In 2015, he promised to cut back on the use of external contracts. Yet, in the fiscal year of 2022-2023, he spent $15.7 billion on professional and social services that year, some of that going to KPMG. Now, I know that you were retained by the Government of Canada as a consultant to provide an opinion or a recommendation on the government's ability to cut down on consultants. Now, leaving aside the irony of hiring a consultant to teach the Government of Canada how to cut back on consultants, I personally could have saved the government almost $700,000 by simply saying, use the federal public service that you increased by 40%. Now, you released that report directly to the government, is that correct?
Thank you very much for the member's question. Neither Mr. Nijar nor I were directly involved in that work, but we are aware, and
Okay.
we also understand that it's very typical for KPMG to be called in to do third-party reviews like that.
Thank you. The report itself has not been tabled with all parliamentarians. Will you provide this committee with a full report?
Thank you very much for the member's question. As I said, neither of us were involved in that work, so I can't comment
Someone
on
at KPMG was, and will you find out who was responsible for
Yep.
conducting the work and to provide
Thank-
this committee with a report? Yes
Thank
or
you,
no?
Mr. Brock. Is that something you could endeavor to get back to the committee about?
Thank you. I was just simply going to say that our understanding was that if the work was done for the government, it would definitely be on the public record. And if we're allowed to disclose without violating confidentiality, then of course we would
That's
be happy
fine.
to
We'll take
comply.
it one step at a time. If you're able to get back to us on the status of that, and I'll work with the analysts at this side to see if that's available, and if you could report back to us on any limitations you have. I do understand there are obviously client privileges. Parliament supersedes that, but we're not there yet. So let's just see where it's at first as a first